Where does Euro-Asian Bob find these cream puffs? I wish I had his contacts. This thing's amazing. Let's take a look. Let's get started. $1995 Cadillac DeVille, and no, it does not have a North Star. It has the 4.9, which is the way I would have it. These engines are very good, very bulletproof. It doesn't have the North Star troubles. This thing is clean, but it is broken. It does have something wrong with it. We're going to take a look at it in a little bit. It has some issues with the rear air suspension. We're going to dive into it. On these GM cars, it frequently is very expensive to fix those. Let's take a look around this cream puff. It did get rained on his way up here, but it is very, very nice, guys. You don't see that in your rearview mirror anymore, Mrs. Wizard.
No, you do not.
This is iconic Cadillac. This is when you see that in your rearview mirror back in the day and you're like, that is a nice car. So as we come around to the side, you can see it has the good old 15-inch wheels, and it has the secret ingredient to yesteryear's riding quality. Very great ride, and it's these big, beefy sidewalls. Huge. Very nice, comfortable ride. And down this side, no rust, no scratches, no dents. Very, very nice paint. We come around to the back. It has the iconic Cadillac slit style tail lights. It is a standard DeVille. It's nothing any special model or anything, but it is in very good condition. And just like we saw on the back, it has the gold badging all over the car, the gold crest. Let's go ahead and jump under the hood. Look how clean that is, guys. You could almost eat off of that thing. It looks brand new right off the dealership. 4.9, like I mentioned, it is front wheel drive. It has the old school distributor. It doesn't have any coil-on plugs or anything like that. But this would be the engine to have if I was going to have one. They're not super powerful, a little over 200 horsepower, but they ride so smooth. And you don't have to worry about putting North Star Performance head studs on this one because they really didn't have that problem. But it was like a year after this is when the North Stars came out, and it was big trouble for GM. Tons of head gasket failures. And it took them years to get it solved. And this one only has 93,000 miles on it. That kind of explains why it's so nice under the hood. Even the brake booster is still glossy and shiny. All brand new looking. Look, Mrs. Wizard, why don't they do this anymore?
I don't know. As a former art teacher, I appreciate colors.
It says red transmission fluid, green engine coolant. It gives you the colors and what each thing is. With today's cars, you get a younger person who doesn't know all the different fluids and different things. They basically just throw you to the wolves and say, figure it out, sucker. Back then, they actually cared about their customers a lot, especially on a Cadillac. But I've seen this sticker on Saturns. I've seen it on Chevrolets. A lot of different GM vehicles had that in the early to mid 90s. I wish they still did that. But we've seen how clean it is under the hood. We don't need to fix anything under the hood. Let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys the immaculate interior. Take it away, Mrs. Wizard.
So I did have to put this in accessory mode to get the cluster to illuminate there, but I'm hearing something. It sounds like a compressor, and I don't think it's getting anywhere back there. But nonetheless, if we can look here, really easy to read. Obviously, apply brake to shift. Well, we don't have the engine running yet, but it does say 93,686 miles. And, well, it says there's 3 gallons of gas in here? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of scary if that's all that's in here. Well, Bob, you're going to have to get some gas before you drive this home. But everything is looking really good. If you like one-bit color, that's all you get. There's no other colors except, well, the red bulb behind that seatbelt. As we move up, dash, look at that. It's in great condition. You know, I sit in a lot of cars, and this car is very clean and very, very nice. I like the very simple to use radio there. I like that we have a little bit of an analyzer there. Now notice that normally we would see HVAC controls here. They're back there. See if we can get there. Oh, the camera's saying, no, only the driver really gets to use them, and they are tucked right back there next to that gauge cluster. So easy for the driver to control. The passenger is at their mercy. As we move down, you'll see we do have our ashtray, and not only do we have one, but we have dual ashtrays. And looks like there's a little bit of some stuff back there, but this has never been used. It is pristine and clean. back it goes. As we get to our center section, this is a 6-passenger car, so this armrest does go up, but it is in our down position now. We can see everything again. Look, after all these years, it doesn't look like they've ever used this. And it does have a cup holder that does flip out and comes forward, but I'm going to leave that in there. Because again, it is, even though this is in pristine condition, I'm not testing fate. This seat is just, it doesn't look overly, fabulous, doesn't have magic designs and perforated leathers, but let me tell you, this is like a sofa. It is so soft, so comfortable. It doesn't need bolster, because once you sink in, you get the bolster from just sitting there. Our door card is in very, very nice condition. Look at the map holder. A lot of times that leather starts to, fade and fail, it breaks. Nope. Not on this one. Same thing in our back seat. We have the similar style seats, and we have that similar armrest there as well. As we get to the headliner, everything again looking pristine. Everything is ivory in here. Ivory, and a whole lot more ivory. And here we are back at that steering wheel. We got our lovely Cadillac symbol here in the center embossed in, looking fabulous. No buttons, because it's not the era of buttons. We don't have those yet on here, but looking really nice behind there. There is a airbag back there, so it is the start of that. So enough of this interior talk. Let's get this up in the air and see, why was it making that noise earlier?
Before we get this on the lift, as you heard when Mrs. Wizard was doing the interior review, you could hear the rear air suspension compressor running, and therein lies the problem. Eurasian Bob wants to sell this with everything working and in tip-top shape, and he noticed it doesn't seem to be lifting itself like it should. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the key. I'm going to lightly sit on the bumper with my soft pants. It's not going to hurt anything, and it should be able to lift me back up to a normal ride height, and the compressor should shut off. Let's see what it does. Yeah, I should be feeling it lifting by now, and I think if I sat here for 20 minutes it would just run and run and run. It won't stop. I don't feel anything, Mrs. Wizard.
No, you're not going anywhere on that ride.
So the rear self-leveling suspension is not self-leveling anymore. We've got to fix that. Let's get it on the lift and see what's going on. So let's see if we can find anything else wrong before we dive into the rear air suspension. Is it really as nice as it appears? One thing you can check on a car that looks nice on the outside is that you get underneath and find out it's a nightmare. Let's see what's going on under this one. So here is our radiator and core support area. Nothing's leaking from there, that's good. And oil pan and transmission pan is pretty much glossy and shiny, new looking. Looks like new paint, in fact. We'll check out this wheel. Brakes are about 30–40% remaining. Struts are not blown. Sway bar links are in good shape. They have some torn boots, but they're not loose. Brakes are in good shape. They still have quite a bit of life left. Struts not blown. Sway bar links are not loose. And nothing loose there. We have our stock catalytic converter intact. Nothing's been modified or hacked here. No rust on the floor pans. Everything looks very good there. You can see that it's had a few scrapes. Maybe something was in the road. Could be a box or a stick or something. Who knows what that was. But there's our fuel tank. And then here's our rear part of the exhaust. There is some surface rust back here where we arrive at the back of the car, but it's nothing serious. That's just normal for the age. 30% on those. We can see that these shocks are not looking very good. There's our ride height sensor. Everything's intact there. Sway bar link is good. And nothing's loose there. Brakes are about 30% remaining. Again, this does not look very good on the air shocks in the back. And our sway bar link is intact, nothing loose there. So we know the self-leveling suspension is not working. The compressor does run, but that doesn't mean that it's good. Let me show you where the compressor is at. You see right here in between this subframe there's the compressor, there's the motor and the pump and a little air filter and everything. It's all located on top up there. What Danielson did is he removed the line, the air line coming from that, and hooked it to a pressure gauge. It should be able to get 10, 20, 30 psi or more. It can't even do 2. It's just weak. It's dying. It's old. It's from 1995, and very likely the seals and everything internally have failed, and it's time for a new compressor. But that's not all. Let's take a look at those shocks again. They did not look good. They are air shocks. Again, we had the lines disconnected, and we used shop air just to put 10 psi or so into these and see if they would hold or do anything. And we sprayed soapy water on these bags, and they just profusely leak air out. You can see all the little cracks. I could actually catch my nail on them. You can hear it there. That rubber is disintegrated. It's bad. And it is the same on the other side. Also, someone has fooled around with the air lines and tried to tape them back together. Take a look. This is the air line right here. Someone has used black duct tape or electrical tape and tried to tape it together. Yeah, that's not going to work, and it leaks pretty bad. And we find a lot of small little cracks in all the plastic lines all over in the rear, so it's going to need complete new air lines, new compressor, and new air shocks, which isn't surprising on any GM vehicle with this system. Let's get this on the ground and talk about it. Air suspension is very expensive on any brand of car out there. This system that's used on this car is not really air suspension so much as it's load leveling. And if you load it down with people in the back or a bunch of luggage that's really heavy, it'll level itself out, because if you paid this much for a new Cadillac in '95, you don't want to look like this going down the road because you couldn't afford a better car. No, you did afford a better car, and it will level itself completely out. That same system is used on Buick LeSabres. It's used on Cadillacs. It's used on Oldsmobiles. It's used on tons of cars all over. And when it fails, it's usually the entire system. Anytime someone says my rear air suspension on my Buick or my Cadillac is not working, I know right off the bat, $1,500. Like, how do you know that, Car Wizard? Because I've probably replaced at least 40 or 50 of these systems, and it's never been just one little thing wrong. When they start to fail, nobody ever fixes them. They just let it run and run and run until the compressor dies. And then a year or two later, they say, maybe I should get that fixed now. And by then, the entire system is shelled out. That's usually the way that works, unfortunately. The shocks are $400 or $500 for a pair from Arnott. We're not going to put cheap aftermarket Chinese ones on. We're going to put some good Arnott rear air shocks in the back. The air compressor, just the compressor, is $500. And then we got the airline kit, and the one thing that people always forget about, the labor. You actually have to pay Danielson to do the work. He's going to have to pull the shocks out, reach up in there and get the compressor out and do all those things. And sales tax. And you're going to be right around $1,500. I did contact Eurasian Bob and said, are you sure you want to put that kind of money into this car? He said, absolutely, this car deserves it. It is so nice, and I want the person that buys this car when they come to pick it up is fully sorted. So he gave the green light. He said, go ahead and order those parts. I know they're expensive, Car Wizard, but let's do it. Now, is it worth it to fix it on this car? What is this car worth? I'm not sure. You guys would have to check it out. One of these is in just rough shape, probably $5,000, $6,000, or $8,000, but this one is immaculate. You have to contact Eurasian Bob to get the price on this one when it's finished. But would I fix this if I had to pay a shop to fix that, $1,500? You bet I would. Absolutely. Because nothing else needs to be fixed, and it's like a new Cadillac. And instead of buying a new Cadillac today for $98,000, you can buy this one and have a new Cadillac for probably way less, 80% less. I'm not sure the exact amount, but I would definitely fix it. I definitely would, especially with everything so nice on it. I wish you guys could have smelled the interior when Mrs. Wizard was giving you the tour. It just smells so nice in there. I love the old Cadillac smell. And one plus to buying this particular Cadillac DeVille is you won't have the North Star woes of blown head gaskets and oil leaks all over the place from the oil pan or the engine cradle, I guess you want to call it, the oil pan cradle. Actually, it's called an oil manifold. But those things leak oil all the time, and then the head gaskets blow, and it's always way expensive to fix. If you get one of these 4.9s that's been taken care of, you can just cruise and not even worry about that. I have fixed a lot of the North Stars with the North Star head bolt performance kit. It's like head studs, actually. And it does fix the problem, but I stopped doing it. Because the cars that are being repaired are worth maybe $4,000. It costs that much or more just to fix it. And you know, once you get an engine pulled out to pull the heads off, you're going to find hoses are leaking, this is leaking, that's leaking, this is broken. And the $4,000 turns into $5,000, and then $6,000, and then the $7,000. While we're here, why wouldn't we fix this, or why wouldn't we do that? You get the engine back in, and the last few that I did, the customers said, Car Wizard, you did a great job, I'm happy with the work, but hindsight 2020, I would not do this again. It was way too expensive. So, I don't do them anymore. It's not worth it. It almost doubly mechanically totals the car. You guys probably have some stories of someone you know that has sunk way too much money into a car. Let us know in the comments some of the stories that you guys have. One thing, one word, actually two words, that I've heard that really have caused people almost bankruptcy is sentimental value. It was Dad's car. I got to spend the money. I don't care how much it cost. But the reality is if Dad's ghost was standing next to you, he'd say, you fool, why are you putting this money into my car? Don't. But you feel that you have to. Even your own dad may not. So think about that whenever you want to sink a bunch of money into someone's old car that has sentimental value. Would the person who originally owned it want you to put that kind of money into the car? They may not have. Mrs. Wizard's dad, his name is Carol. He lives out in Kingsport, Tennessee. I know if he were to hand down a car to me and on the unfortunate day comes that he passes away, and then he found out in his ghost form that I spent $70,000 on his $10,000 truck, he would come unglued. He would say, are you a damn fool? Really, are you stupid? I mean, I could hear him saying that.
He really would.
He would. He'd be like, don't do that, Car Wizard. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking of sentimental value, what that person really want you to spend that money on the car. And then you can make the decision. If you still want to do it, it's your car, it's your money. But I have seen a few people almost go bankrupt chasing that sentimental value. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this DeVille, which really isn't a lot because it doesn't need a whole lot, or any other car in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools we use every day, tried and true, here in the shop are listed for sale there. And if you purchase any of them, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. And before you go, no, we're not closing the shop. No, we're not closing the YouTube channel. We're moving to New Mexico and downsizing. There's still many more videos to come for you guys. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks for watching.